Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, authorities want your help in finding the suspect vehicle as they investigate car tire thefts in the area. And in Houston, a woman's body wrapped in plastic was found inside a U-Haul. Plus, former President Donald Trump faces 37 federal counts and is expected in court tomorrow.
Well, the heat is on, folks, and there's no real change. In fact, look at these temperatures all week long. We're going to be hovering at or near 100, so let's learn to live with it.
Plus, the Denver Nuggets trying to close the door, but Miami could be getting help. I'll have that coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Karina Garcia. Don Brubaker has the day off. Area authorities are looking for information on this white SUV. It's a suspect vehicle in a number of car burglaries in the area. Victoria police say thieves are hitting 5 cars a night. They put the vehicles on blocks and take all 4 tires. This white SUV has no front license plate and the rear license plate is difficult to read. Call 361-526-2351 if you can help. And this brings us to your viewer poll. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. The question is, have you had to deal with a vehicle burglary recently? Yes or no? Well, according to these results, 4% say yes and 96% say no. We want to keep on hearing from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we will have an update on 25 News now at 10. Several people were hurt in a shooting outside of a nightclub. It happened early Sunday morning at the Taboo Restaurant and Lounge in Houston. Police say an altercation started inside the club and then continued in the parking lot where someone opened fire into the crowd. At least 6 people were shot and were taken to various hospitals for treatment. Police aren't sure how many shooters were involved. So far, no arrests have been made. Authorities in Crosby, Texas are investigating a shooting that left 1 person dead and multiple others hurt on Sunday. The Harris County Sheriff's Office responded to reports of a shooting around 4 p.m. Sunday afternoon. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez said 4 to 5 people were shot. Investigators responded to 2 scenes, the original shooting location and another location where one of the victims was found dead. 4 victims were taken to local hospitals for treatment and more details surrounding the shooting are developing. Houston police are investigating the death of a woman found inside a moving truck. After getting an anonymous call about it Friday evening, police went to a storage facility and noticed a foul smell coming from a U-Haul truck. Inside was a body wrapped in plastic. KPRC reports the body had been inside the truck for several days now. The Harris County Medical Examiner is still working to determine the identity of the woman and the cause of her death. H&M at the Outland Premium Outlets will reopen today, more than a month after the deadly mass shooting there outside the store where 8 people were killed and several more were hurt and are currently recovering. Several other stores in the mall reopened at the end of May. The owner of the outdoor shopping mall allowed store owners to decide when it would be most appropriate for each shop to resume normal operations. All right, and let's take a quick pause in the news and go to the weather with meteorologist Mac Bettis.
Well, folks, it's here, it's going to be here, and we're just going to have to learn how to deal with it. The heat is on. It's 91 right now. Feels like 102, and your high temperature came in at 96. Now, that temperature is going to go up 2, 3, 4 degrees over the next few days, so this is something we're going to have to learn to deal with. So we'll be talking about the heat index and taking a look at the tropics coming up in a moment. Karina, back to you.
Mac, thank you. Now to the latest on the federal indictment of former President Donald Trump. His plane landing in Miami a short time ago where he's expected to be booked and fingerprinted before he faces a federal judge tomorrow for his arraignment. Trump is now facing 37 counts accused of mishandling national defense documents.
Former President Trump officially touching down in Miami as he prepares to be arrested Tuesday before facing a judge on serious federal criminal charges. Local police joining forces with the Secret Service and U.S. Marshals, tightening security around the courthouse downtown for his arraignment. If convicted, Trump could potentially face decades in prison for allegedly mishandling national defense documents.
These are our most sensitive secrets, and when our most sensitive secrets fall into the wrong hands, and we don't know that they have, but there was potential, the consequences are very grave. People end up dying.
The charges include conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and the willful retention of national defense secrets. This all began back in 2021, Trump haggling with the National Archives for months when it became increasingly clear he had taken a significant number of highly classified government records upon leaving the White House. In 2022, he did return 15 boxes. That's when prosecutors say archive officials found a significant number of sensitive documents involving spies, America's nuclear defense and weapons capabilities, and U.S. surveillance programs. Shortly after the FBI and Justice Department getting involved, a grand jury subpoena ordering Trump to return dozens of additional boxes of classified documents that were stored at his Mar-a-Lago residence. In the indictment, prosecutors allege Trump knowingly misled his attorney and the FBI in an effort to hold on to the documents despite that subpoena. Notes from one of Trump's attorneys obtained by prosecutors reveal Trump allegedly said, "What happens if we just don't respond at all or don't play ball with them?" Trump has remained defiant throughout all of this. On the campaign trail this weekend, denying any wrongdoing, saying that he will not drop out of the presidential race even if he's found guilty. Rena Roy, ABC News, Miami.
Back in Texas, KXAN reports Governor Abbott signed what he calls a, quote, key parent empowerment legislation into law. Now, Abbott's office did not share in advance what this bill includes, but a state lawmaker's tweet provided a clue about one of the proposals that may get the governor's signature. Essentially, House Bill 900 aims to keep sexually explicit material out of school libraries.
Parents also deserve to know what books are in school libraries. Some school libraries have books with sexually explicit and vulgar materials. I'm signing a law that gets that trash out of our schools.
KXAN reports that opponents of this legislation said it amounted to book banning in schools and would target materials with themes about the LGBTQ+ community or people of color. But supporters of the bill argued it's intended to protect children from inappropriate material and give parents a say in what their students are learning in classrooms. The Bishop of Fort Worth Catholic Diocese addressed the ongoing controversy regarding a lawsuit against him following reports of a nun allegedly breaking her vows with a priest outside the diocese. The controversy started when the diocese said a nun in the monastery admitted to breaking her vow of chastity. Since that time, the nuns claim the diocese has abused its power and invaded their privacy. The diocese also released pictures claiming drug use at the monastery. Bishop Michael Olson addressed those pictures in a message he posted Sunday.
This evidence and information was immediately reported and turned over by the Diocese of Fort Worth to the Arlington Police Department, which is responsible for investigating such matters in that jurisdiction. Claims that the Diocese of Fort Worth, or I as its bishop, planted these drugs are false and baseless.
The bishop says much of this is a church matter, and he's calling on the faithful for prayers on the situation that's causing him so much pain. Now remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit that like button and subscribe button. Alrighty, stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 6, thousands of dead fish wash up near a shore in Houston. Also ahead, students, hold on to your wallets because student loan payments start up again in October. It marks 7 years since a gunman walked into an Orlando nightclub and opened fire. 49 people were killed on Latin Night at the Pulse, a popular gay club there. Orlando's mayor honored the lives lost on a social media post Sunday, vowing to continue support for the survivors and victims of the families. Tens of millions of borrowers with federal student loans will have to restart payments in October. The Department of Education is clarifying that interest will resume September 1st. That's roughly when the Biden administration says its pandemic pause is set to end unless the Supreme Court rules on a separate loan case. The debt ceiling bill bars President Joe Biden from another extension. The DOE says it will reach out to borrowers with more information, and they can check the federal student aid website for more. A heat wave in southern eastern Texas is taking a major toll on marine life there, so much so that on Friday in that county near Houston, hundreds of dead fish washed up on shore.
Tonight, seas of dead fish washing up along parts of the Texas coast, showing the incredible power of Mother Nature.
Hypoxia is when we have lower than normal dissolved oxygen in the water, are very common in the summer.
Katie St. Clair is the Sea Life Facility Manager at Texas A&M University at Galveston. St. Clair says the fish simply can't breathe.
As we get these warmer Gulf water temperatures, the water itself has less capacity to hold dissolved oxygen, which of course is really important and essential for the fish and other animals to breathe.
While St. Clair says this can affect schools of fish more, other fish can also succumb to the event, as seen by social media posts like these and plenty of curious passersby who are breathing this all in.
Pretty bad and stinky.
Brazoria County says they can understand people's reactions.
It's still alarming to see that, and just because it's a natural occurrence doesn't mean it's necessarily a pleasant one.
The recent temperature spike, they say, has been a catalyst.
That's kind of the perfect storm to combine, that it can really produce pockets in the water where the dissolved oxygen.
A lack of wave action has also contributed to the problem. The county has been coming through here with heavy equipment, raking the fish up near the shoreline and taking them over here to bury them in these sand dunes, which covers up the smell, and the fish become compost, which serves as a healthy part of the ecosystem for the dune grass. And while this is something that isn't all that uncommon,
It's happened before. I've seen it twice.
it's hard to predict how long exactly it might last.
It's crazy.
But it's an issue the county says they will continue to deal with.
We'll clean them up. Our Parks Department will get those up and get those beaches back to being clean so that people can get back and enjoy those beaches.
When it comes to living large, baby boomers are at the top of the list. Meanwhile, younger Americans are struggling just to keep up. Internal data from Bank of America shows a significant gap in spending has recently opened. While baby boomers and the generation before them are spending their money on traveling and fancy restaurants, Gen X, Gen Z, and millennials are struggling with high housing costs and looming student debt repayments. Economists say if not for the aggressive spending by boomers, overall consumer spending would have been even lower.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. The heat is definitely on for the Crossroads, all of Texas, even though there are some storms just north up in Oklahoma. But as we are heating up, you saw the oceans heating up. We start seeing things in the tropics. So we'll be looking at that coming up in a moment. We'll be right back. everybody. Last week we were talking about the combination of heat and humidity. Now you know what I was talking about. You probably felt it today. Boy, it was a perspiration kind of day. It's 91 right now. It feels like 102. Your high today was only 96. I say only 96 because in the next couple of days we're going to go up 2, 3, 4 degrees. We'll probably be at 100 for the rest of the week. So yeah, it's going to be serious. And again, this is a dangerous thing. You think, oh, it's just hot. No, it can get you. It just sneaks up on you. That's the problem. Right now, it's a nice 87 down in Seadrift. We're looking at 93, 94 out in the Nixon area. Karnes City still at 96. Areas to the west out toward Laredo, we're at 103, 104 today because of the incredible amount of pressure on top of us is sinking the air. Now, you notice there's some big storms in Oklahoma, but they're not moving in our direction. That's because the dome of high pressure, or we call it the dome of doom, is pushing everything around it. So it is pushing it north and really not moving in our direction. Well, we have heat advisories again, likely for tomorrow. Now here we're in yellow, and that means heat advisory. That means that the heat index will get up to 105. Over here it says heat warning. That means the heat index will get up to 110 and above. Those things may change. Bottom line, it's just hot and really steamy. And so you've got to be cautious out there in the midday sun. Got a few little tips here to show you. When you get heat exhaustion, that means, it's getting to you. It's one level of bad. When you get heat stroke, that's another level. That's level 2 of bad. So faint and dizzy, are you kind of going like this? Are you sweating a lot where you're just not stopping down? And then all of a sudden your perspiration stops and you get cool and clammy and you've got a weak pulse, muscle cramps. That's when you have to go inside and take a break. If you get anything worse than that, you would have a throbbing headache. You're not perspiring, red, hot, dry skin, rapid pulse. This is when you may lose consciousness. That is known as a heat stroke. So yeah, you can cross the street, you can get across the parking lot, all that good stuff. But if you're working hard outside, and I saw a lot of guys, especially the gardening guys, are out there, cutting the grass and all that, just get fluids to replace what you're perspiring. And you're just going to have to deal with changing your clothes, several times. The perspiration can actually cool you down, but I mean, it's a mess being all wet up there. High pressure over us. It'll be there stuck for a while. It may be the whole summer long. Right now, we've got 2 storms, one here and one on the west coast, but we are basically stuck under this ridge of high pressure for some time. Here it is, extended outlook, 100 degrees by the time we get to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and maybe even Saturday. So the punchline is we're just going to have to learn how to deal with it. Now, as I mentioned, we have very humid, very humid, and downright oppressive. And here's what happens with the temperature at 100. We're going to start pushing the oppressive mark all the way through. So, folks, it's going to be tough, but we've got to learn to live with it. 92 for Port Lavaca. We're looking at 97 in Cuero. And for the rest of us, well, we're going to be hovering at or near 100 for the rest of the week. We're calling it an alert day tomorrow. That means everybody's going to be affected by 98 and 110 degree heat index. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Want you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Karina, we'll toss it back to you.
Thanks, Mac. And now here's sports reporter Zach Brown.
The Generals hit the diamond tonight and are doing great things off the field. I'll have that coming up in sports. Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight in Denver. Miami just trying to live to fight another day, needing a hero, and that could come in the form of Tyler Herro, the guard, who's been out since April 16th with a broken hand, has been upgraded to questionable after being ruled out. The Heat need his shooting badly. Denver trying to capture its first NBA title in franchise history. Tip-off tonight at 7:30. The Victoria Generals have hit a bit of a rough patch on the diamond, but off of it, they are champions. This past weekend, they donned their Warriors weekend jerseys, which were then auctioned off afterwards, with 100% of the proceeds going towards Warriors weekend. The community and Generals helped raise over $15,000, and in 10 seasons, the Generals have helped raise more than $330,000 for local charities through their jersey auctions. What a great cause, but now they try to get back in the winning column after losing a tough one last night. They try and snap their 4-game losing streak tonight against the Acadiana Cane Cutters. The first place Texas Rangers doing a lot of winning this year, but they do have some controversy. Out of 30 MLB teams, 29 of them hosting a Pride Night. The one that isn't, the Texas Rangers. The White Sox will celebrate when they play Texas, passing out T-shirts. The Rays will also have theirs against Texas. Cleveland just had theirs against Houston with an LGBTQ-themed fireworks show. So here's your viewer poll. Do you think the Texas Rangers should host a Pride Night? Yes or no? This was a pretty popular viewer poll. Lots of you guys voting so far. 85% of you say no. 15 say yes. Thank you for voting. I'll have more tonight at 10. And as for the Astros, their Pride Night is June 20th against the Mets. They don't want to look that far ahead. These guys can't buy a win right now, having lost 5 of their last 6 games and sitting 5 games behind the Rangers for first place. They return home tomorrow against the Washington Nationals. And how about a feel-good story? If you love baseball, you know Andrew McCutchen has been a fan favorite since coming into the league in 2009. Well, yesterday he reached quite the milestone, 2,000 hits. He's played for Pittsburgh from 2009 through 2017, played for a few teams after that, and returned this year. And you think you have a heavy workload? How about Stanford pitcher Quinn Matthews? This was his 156th pitch to close out Game 2 of the Super Regional versus the Longhorns. The decisive Game 3 tonight, a trip to the College World Series on the line. The Longhorns will look to go back for the 3rd year in a row with potential first-round pick Tanner Witt on the mound for the Horns. And the Houston Texans have made a huge announcement. J.J. Watt saying, quote, H-Town, I'm coming home. They will induct the future Hall of Famer into their Ring of Honor, joining Andre Johnson. And to make it more special, it will be October 1st against the Steelers, who, of course, younger brother T.J. Watt plays for. And many of you may know this, but he made a huge impact on the food bank of the Golden Crescent with his Harvey Relief Fund, donating nearly $1 million. Karina, back to you.
Go JJ. Well, we're back in a moment. A rare Peking panther looking cute and cuddly was searching for a snack. We have that story straight ahead. Now, most people will never see a Florida panther. Experts say there are only about 200 left of them in the wild, so that makes it more extraordinary that a Golden State Estates woman saw one looking right through her sliding glass doors and then took a video of it. The woman and her family just moved to Florida a month ago. She says she felt like something was staring at her, and there it was. An expert at Florida Gulf Coast University says panthers don't pose much of a threat to humans, but for pets, that could be a different story. Look at that. Imagine you're eating a sandwich, you turn around, you see that big eye.
Yeah, and when you said Panthers, he's like, oh, it's sports.
Yeah, I'm thinking sports. Are the Florida Panthers playing for the Stanley Cup against
No,
Vegas?
no, we're talking real Panthers.
We're talking real Panthers, I guess.
He was already
Get on board.
doing headlines. Hey, folks, the heat is on, and it's going to be here for quite some time. So the best we can do is make sure your AC is working properly. Of course, I would hate to be an AC guy, have to get in anybody's attic right about now. But the heat is definitely going to be with us at temperatures hovering near 100 for the entire week. So try and stay cool best you can.
Alrighty, well, thank you, Mac, and thank you for joining us. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.